Red Spotters. Welcome to the Lion King After Dark.
It's recording?
Mm-hmm.
You sure?
Says rec right there.
Okay, just making sure. Isn't it usually like going on and off?
No. Anyway.
Okay.
I need a minute to process.
Okay.
Alexis or Peter, one of you guys take it away.
Welcome back, Red Spotters, to an After Dark edition. Here again with me, Alexis Soto, Kyle Lira next to me, and Peter Martinez on his phone as usual behind me. And this is the After Dark to Jon Favreau's remake of The Lion King. This reportedly quote-unquote live-action adaptation of the, what was it, 1992? 1994?
I thought it was 3.
1994.
4? Okay, 4.
94 animated movie, which is, it's no secret, known as one of the greatest animated movies of all time, and hailed as the crowning achievement of the Disney Renaissance that definitely propelled the 1990s era of Disney animation. This is going to be our initial reactions to just walking out of The Lion King. I wonder who's dying to go first, as usually how we do this, we'll have a, well, you know what? Should we even concern ourselves with the word spoilers in this? Okay, sure. Okay, just to make sure we're on the same page, there are no spoilers in this. Well, actually, there are going to be spoilers, but in reality, there isn't, because it's the exact same movie. So if you've seen the movie, then there's nothing to complain about if something is spoiled for you, because it's the exact same film. So just letting you know right now, we're not going to concern ourselves with that word spoilers in this review. Who would like to go first?
You go first. You know what? Let me get a good laugh. Peter, please, for the love of God, go first.
First? Okay.
Yeah. First of all, do you have any attachments with the Lion King? Do you like?
I like the first one. Saw it as a kid.
Uh-huh.
It's a good movie, the first one. The second one, I don't even know.
It's Simba's Pride.
He doesn't remember the movie. Okay.
Okay, Lion King 1.5. Do you remember?
Yeah, I don't give a shit. I'm talking about this new one.
Okay.
Speaking of not giving a shit.
It's bad. It's pretty fucking terrible. Like, terrible. Like, oh god. It's a scene for scene, almost.
No, it is. It's shot for shot, except for extra materials that we're not adding.
That's the thing. They'll take scenes and they'll stretch it out a little longer, and then that's it. But for the most part, it's the exact same movie, except so much worse. I told Alexis, and the first opening, the circle of life, like all of that, like you could spend an hour at least deconstructing how that initial opening is so much worse than the animated one. Like, there's so many little things.
He said to me, just to make sure that the point is, sold home, he whispered in my ear, as that sequence finished, this new sequence in this new movie, he told me you can spend an entire hour deconstructing why this version, which was all of 2 minutes-ish, is so much worse than the original. And it's like, I'm sure we could have a whole episode on that, and we probably will, but I think to really just kind of like jump on what Peter is saying, the stench of inferiority, if that's even a word, I'm not sure if it is. I think it is. Maybe it's not.
It's a word.
It could be.
It's a word.
The stench of inferiority is present from the beginning of this movie until the end of this movie.
Right.
let me start off the bat, because there are people out there, and we always have to make sure that there are audiences. As far as most general audiences are concerned, if all you want is The Lion King done again, but in photorealistic animation, then this is the movie for you. But trust me when I say, this movie is downright terrible. And I mean awful. I'm stunned how it is you can do a great story that The Lion King is, and you can completely just trash, I would even just say tarnish, the legacy of it. This, as I was thinking throughout the entire... By the way, I want to make it clear, I was just waiting for this to be over. I think, whispering in Peter's ear, please make it stop. Make it stop. Because this literally ruined The Lion King for me. Because this is... I thought to myself this the entire time. This is the movie that an alternate reality got in 1994. If, let's just say, for some stupid reason, originally Disney were to do this movie in live action, this is the movie it would be. And it is terrible. It is terrible for so... It is terrible for so many reasons. Not just because it is a carbon copy, but it does all of those things worse. There is a difference, I would say, between imitating something and maybe coming close to what it was. No, it's almost as if every single thing is just downright terrible, and there are moments that are laugh out loud. Like, moments because of how downright stupid they look.
Terrible.
Because you cannot translate animated films like this into live action. I don't know how many times I have to say how much of the magic of these movies are lost when you do that. You get a result that is as sluggish, that it is as stupid and silly and downright unnecessary as this. This is a downright disgusting experience that I am glad is forever behind me. So, there are my thoughts on the movie. Do you agree?
Yeah. And I mean, I guess I'll wait till after Kyle. But there's very specific moments that I can think of where it's just like...
Yeah.
Okay, go ahead, Kyle.
I never came out of a movie so defeated since Terminator Genesis. Like, out of all the movies that I've seen in the past, I can't, like, come around to saying that I absolutely hate them until Terminator Genesis came out.
There are a few movies you've ever seen that you hated, basically.
Yeah. Because I'm like, it's okay. I could go my whole life without seeing it again. And I guess Terminator Genesis and this movie too. But again, those movies didn't insult me like those two movies did. Here's where I'm coming from. When I came out of Terminator Genesis, I came out defeated because it completely lacked what made at least my favorite Terminator film, Terminator 2, what made that movie special and what made this whole, like, world, intriguing. Like, this movie took out the spirit and,
the
like...
energy. The energy of this movie was sucked out with a vacuum.
The soul, like... I want to make it perfectly clear my history with The Lion King. For the longest time, it was my favorite film of all time, until The Force Awakens reminded me that Star Wars Episode 4 got me kickstarted and passionate about film in the first place. But this movie really stood the test of time for me, and I absolutely adored it, from the script, the score, the acting, Jeremy Irons fucking being Jeremy Irons, the whole bit, Nathan Lane and Ernie Sabella, just a gorgeous film. And to make such a gorgeous film look ugly, just downright fucking ugly. Like, Disney, I give you major props to taking one of your biggest films and making it look downright sick.
I want to say something real quick to
ugly.
that. I was already expecting it to look as ugly as it did, and in terms of like how they are photorealistic, it doesn't work whatsoever because of animation and all that kind of crap. We've already said that repeatedly, but I want to make it very clear. What I was actually kind of shocked by was how terrible the voice cast was.
Okay,
all around, I have never, and this is the longest time that I can recall where this cast just all around kind of sucked for me.
Here's the thing. Okay, I could get behind Donald Glover as Simba. I could get behind all of the casting of this. The thing that it was so funny to me about this movie was that, you know, because of like their photorealistic things, you couldn't have them emote. So these actors were trying to like balance that out by like trying.
No, they were intentionally directed to tone it down. Because this is not as if you're voicing an animated movie. They were voicing what they were calling a live action movie, and it all completely just was it was bad. It was bad. I mean, it's bad enough that these characters look absolutely motionless in downright some places.
Oh my god.
But
when little Simba was looking at his dead dad, and it's just the same stone cold face, and it's like, am I supposed to feel sad? Like, I can't empathize with...
Like in the original, like when Mufasa died, you know, he was cuddled up, he was crying, you could see him like step up back.
They tried to do the exact same thing because they're going for photorealism. Like, there's no pain in the freaking character's face. He has the same face the entire film, or at least the entire first half.
But they all do, to be clear. They all do. And about the voice acting, maybe it's just me, but they all just sounded tired. The only one that I think actually gave a shit, ironically, was Beyonce, but she was way overdoing that. Let me just be real.
I feel like all of her lines sound exactly the same.
They do.
Like, her inflection of every sentence comes off the same. And like, I don't think she sounded good, but
No.
it was at the same level as most everyone else.
Yeah.
And then, it felt, despite the film being longer, it felt like some scenes with the dialogue were rushed from the original. Like where...
They really were.
Yeah.
Like, the part that I find really jarring is that, remember when in the Stampede scene, like the transition into that, Simba, it's to die for. That's such dramatic flair that it's missing that flavor. It's like eating a freaking bland-ass bowl of chili, except that there's nothing but the bowl there.
They kept the majority of the original screenplay, and that includes the dialogue. But worse though, because it didn't work in this movie. Because when you're listening to those old lines, you're like, oh, I've seen this, but better.
There was one point where Mufasa's response to Simba didn't make sense. Like, Simba had asked a question, and then Mufasa just kind of said a phrase, and then they moved on.
That was weird.
Did you notice that?
No, I noticed you completely, I noticed you were thrown off by that, because I was too, and I was looking at Kyle. There was this line when the scene where they're talking about everything the light touches, right?
Yeah.
And at the very last end, like, kings don't go out and attack or seek violence or do something. It was a weird tacked on line that came out of nowhere that I can only assume was like an anti-Trump thing. I don't know.
No, but like, Simba asked something, and then he replied, and it felt like it had nothing to do with what he asked, and then they just kind of moved on.
Yeah.
I was like, what?
The line was, kings don't look forward to what they could take, they look for what they could give.
Sure, something like that. The way they extended scenes was hilarious. Like, you know, in the original film, right after the Lion King, in the beginning, it's black, and then you see the mouse, it scurries, and then boom, Scar grabs it. Here, you watch the mouse scurry about for like
10 hours.
A minute longer. You extended a scene.
Also I was like, God, the movie would be over already when Simba Like a part of
Oh,
part
yeah,
of the
top
hair,
of his hair.
started flowing in the wind, and then it went into like the draft.
It went full
and then
Forrest Gump.
and then it turned into shit. And then some dung beetle rolled that shit, and then some ants got it, and then it went all the way into the Pride Lands. And then I was like, Jesus Christ, this movie would be done already if they just take that out.
That scene completely just like, okay, this is lasting an eternity.
And then the scene where Nala escapes.
What was the point of that?
What was the point? Like, it wasn't in the original film for a reason, because it doesn't add anything to the film. Like, it's just filler.
It just takes away from this movie.
It's literally just filler. Like, they keep doing that. They keep adding, like, filler and filler and filler. Just random extensions of scenes that don't amount to literally anything. And, like, there's, like, going back to the beginning, there's so many little things where it's like, wow, this is so much worse than the original. Like, in the original, when it's, like, the mom giraffe and the baby giraffe, at that point where they're, like, from the first day you step into the sun, it's, like, in animation, they were in the, what's it called?
That's the closest I'm going to ever hear Peter sing.
Oh, yeah, I sang as much as
Scar did for Be Prepared.
We'll get to that. But he's like, his head is in the animated version, the baby giraffe's head is in the shadow, and then right when it says sun, it like lifts its head and it hits the sun, and it's like, oh, okay, you know, visual storytelling doesn't happen here. That shot where it's like the circle of light, boom, you know, you see the what's it called?
Pride Rock.
Pride
it was just
Rock.
a fucking
They
camera
just kind of
pan.
like panned over, and then when the monkey lifts baby Simba, in the original animated, it's like boom, boom, like triple. I don't know what the camera move is, but it zooms in a lot, and then boom for added effect. And in this one, it's just a shot.
Or when
and he lifts it.
when Simba is seeing the fucking stampede come down.
Yes.
And then like, you know, the camera zooms in on that shit, like kind of like Roy whatever his name is from Jaws. It kind of does that shit. And then here it just like and then it just like completely like, whoa, where are we now?
Can I talk about the worst part of the film that I had to keep from laughing?
What?
At the end, when they did a flashback to when what's his name?
Scar killed Mufasa.
Scar killed Mufasa. Like they unironically, he had to, we had forgotten the fact that Mufasa had died and that Scar had killed him. That we had to have a flashback. A flashback, by the way, that Simba never saw. So why is he having a flashback of it? Like, it's just there to be different. It's, oh my god.
No, the flashback was in the original.
Was it?
It was.
Okay. Are you sure? I saw it yesterday.
But it never showed what Scar's perspective of it, but it just showed him falling.
No, but I'm saying, like, it showed the entire scene again.
Anyway, it was a bad scene.
You saw it again.
Yeah, it was a bad scene. And the reality is, when they put that back up in the flashback, all three of us are trying to hold in our laughter in unison. It was bad.
It also looks funny with how he fell. Also, they did some weird shit with the hyenas.
Okay, go on about that.
Well, they made a female leader, and right when they did that, I was like, okay, so they're gonna have her fight Nala at the end.
Well, Shanzei, right? Shanzei was always kind of a leader.
Shenzi.
But like before, it was like they had the three like goofball ones that you follow.
Yeah, well, that's them.
But not really though.
Well, not in this version, but Shanzei.
Shenzi.
Shenzi is a character in the original movie.
I know, by Whoopi, right?
Yeah, Whoopi Goldberg. Yeah.
Yeah.
And then you have Cheech Marin and Jim Cummings.
I know, but they were like the Three Stooges or whatever.
Basically, yeah.
But in this one, like, she's the leader, and then you have the other two. They don't really do much with them. Like, they have one joke. It's really weird. You would think that they would add more with them because they're just comedy.
By the way, the comedy fell flat all across the board for me. Nothing made me laugh in this movie. And maybe the closest thing, even though it was pretty stupid, was Timon singing Be Our Guest. Which, by the way, Billy Eichner did a better job singing that song than Ewan McGregor. That was a missed opportunity right there. Timon and Pumbaa were good, but nah. I mean, the same thing all over again. But then also, I don't know, at a certain point.
Okay, let's just throw this out the window, okay? Everything that we find good about this movie is because the original did it better.
And because of that, it just became off-putting. All of it was off-putting to me. All of it just made me feel just gross because it is an overt copycat of everything the original people did with the original film. And those people get no credit whatsoever in this live action. It almost...
Oh, wait, they did. But it was in small font.
Oh, it was?
In the credits.
Oh,
yeah.
really?
In small font. It was like, thanks to Roger Allers and whatever his name is, and Don Hahn.
For doing the actual fucking work?
And then it said in small print, and the animation department.
It's just like, I think it was a good, like, well, it was from the very beginning. But like a good, like, 10 minutes into the movie and all the way until it ended. It just... I've never seen a movie where everything... Maybe the other remakes count in this regard, but it just feels like you're watching a movie on autoplay. Not autoplay, but it's like, or auto drive or whatever it is. Like, you've seen this before, but it's done so much worse, and it's just going through the motions, and I'm just waiting for it to be over, because none of it is working. And it's making me sit in the theater longer, because it's stretching out every scene even more, and padding and padding and padding with unnecessary things that brings it overall down. It is an infuriating experience because you're sitting there and you can't escape.
It reminds me of when you have a word count on an essay. So you just add extra sentences that mean the exact same thing. But in this case,
they call that BSing.
In this case, what they did was they found an existing essay online and then just added more sentences saying the exact same thing over and over, but to try to meet the essay count. Like, that's the way it felt the whole time.
Also, the musical numbers, again, do not work at all.
So
they don't
boring.
work. They don't work because all you see is these animals just running or walking, which you might think, well, didn't they do that in the original movie? No, because in the animated film...
Because, like, you take a film, like, you take a scene like the Just Can't Wait to Be King scene, and, like, the transition, like, I noticed that, you know, that it went from canvas to cell, and they worked with that to make it look like pseudo painted, and then you did
fantastical,
and then you did the
boring.
then you did like the African styled coloring of all that stuff, and it looked gorgeous. Here it's just them running around a watering hole,
and then there's animals,
and that's it. Not even like animals stacked up on, because like one of the broad like visuals from the original was that, you know, you have that, you know, ground floor shot, and all the animals are stacked up on each other with Simba and Nala on that.
I gotta look. These are classic songs, and I gotta admit, this is the first time I think where across the board, not a single one of these musical sequences worked for me.
Be prepared. Let's talk about Be Prepared, or the lack of Be Prepared. It was spoken like a slam poetry thing, and like it.
Like, I know, Kyle, you're pissed that they kind of ruined it, but I'm sorry. I'm happy because it was shorter, and I got out of there faster. Did you really want the whole song so he can run in a circle with the hyenas for the whole fucking song?
True.
Like, honestly, if you're trying to do this super realistic interpretation of The Lion King, why have the songs? Just cut the songs entirely, because it completely clashes with like, you're supposed to be a realistic lion and you act realistically, but then you're breaking
into like a 90s Broadway-esque number.
Look, Peter's right. I'm grateful that that scene lasted a lot less longer than it would have, but at the exact same time, Chiwetel Ejiofor was terrible.
He
horrible.
Is no like.
No, I mean the song. Him singing was awful. It wasn't just that.
Be prepared.
There were points where he was actually singing, and it came off as somebody was screeching in my ear. It was terrible singing. It was bad. I was just, and you know what? I I was a little grateful, little bit. Okay, they didn't need to do the whole song. It was fine, whatever. Because at the end of the day, they stopped themselves from going big and bombastic, which they, by their own rules, couldn't do, because this is supposed to be a film that is a little bit more grounded in reality, and therefore we have the problem with this movie. It was never intended to be told in reality in a live-action setting, because this wouldn't happen in a live-action setting. Therefore, it is completely inferior to anything the original Lion King had to offer. The songs were awful. Not the classic songs, but in terms of how they were performed, how they were presented, it was terrible, and they were needless, and they were useless, and they made me sit in the theater longer than they should have. It was bad. There's nothing good I can say about the music in this movie. Nothing. And that's a first, I think.
Oh, and yeah. What's it called? Beyonce's new song came the fuck out of nowhere and clashed with the whole film.
I laughed. That was...
like, oh, here's another example. And again, it's just little things. It's like every scene they find a way to just extend it a little more to say, hey, it's different. It's this time, instead of singing the very first part of A Lion Sleeps Tonight, they sang a little bit more of the song A Lion Sleeps Tonight.
I thought it was a lot more of it. It felt very long.
But, like, that was literally it. What I do find funny, though, and again, this is so weird, them running back to the Pride Rock or whatever, makes it look like it was just, like, over the hill where they were. But originally, it looked like they, freaking ran for miles and miles and miles when Simba first ran to wherever Timon and Pumbaa were. But when they ran back, I thought there would be this montage of them running, but there wasn't. Like, it really looked like they were, it's just over the hill.
Here's a Disney reference to what he was saying about that scene. It looked as if the group, Simba and Nala, were walking distance-wise from California Adventure Park to Disneyland Park, in terms of the distance between the two. Because they're literally right across from each other. That's how bad it was. Because they look as if it's all in the same area.
Like, they took, like, several leaps, and they were at the gorge.
Mm-hmm.
And then another several leaps, and then they were at Pride Rock. I was just like, oh, okay. You guys shouldn't complain. It got you there faster.
It did. What do we make of... Because even those that, like us, don't like this movie at all, even they praised the VFX work. What do you think of that?
I mean, sure. It was well done. Like,
This is an animated movie, folks. Just to be clear with you, this was entirely made on a computer. So it's animation, but it's photorealistic animation. And it looks great for, a Disney nature movie. But when you're attaching it to what this movie was, it completely clashes. It was just, honestly, this was awful. I think for me, this may be the worst of all of them. Of all these live-action remakes, this is the worst for me. And I didn't like most of them. But, I mean, what would you guys say about this? Would this be the worst for you?
It depends if you include the Alice in Wonderland ones.
Yeah, I do.
Then no.
Well, maybe how about the first one?
Yeah, it's worse than the first one. But that second one put me to sleep. This one didn't put me to sleep, but maybe I was just angry.
We all kind of were. I mean, this one was like, doing the usual thing he does. He's like, he huffs and he puffs, and he's like messing with his hair. Peter was just trying not to laugh and then looking completely horrified. And I was just like, I was looking around a lot, looking at people, and I was just thinking to myself, there
was one moment where I was like, yes. When I think it was the aisle in front of us. Mm-hmm. And there was I guess an alarm went off, and like the alarm was crickets.
That wasn't part of the movie?
No.
No, it was someone's alarm.
Yeah, because that was actually kind of pitch perfect. The crickets going off.
That was right when what's his name died too.
Yeah.
And again, if you're gonna do this, I say be brave, but it's Disney. I think a silent film would have been perfect.
And made no money whatsoever.
I know it wouldn't have made money, but that's the only way I can see
a live action
this kind
version
of interpretation working, where it's literally they literally treat it like they're actual animals, and they shoot it in that way, and there's no music or anything. You're just following silently, this journey of this cub. I think that's the only way that it would work. And it would give you an opportunity to break out and do different things and not follow specifically the animated feature. That's the only other way I can think of actually adapting it in this way.
God, I want Mulan.
But at the end of the day, it's just like they made the exact same film, but did everything worse.
It's not just me, but
I think after checking out of Mulan, I'm gonna be done with this.
I've been done with this. What are you talking about? We didn't see Aladdin or Dumbo. The last one I saw was Beauty and the Beast, and I mean, am I the only one thinking this was worse than Beauty and the Beast? Somehow?
It felt worse. It definitely did. Maybe because, at least with those, it's humans emoting,
You have actors.
You have actors. In this, it's nothing. Or even do that. If you're gonna do live action, maybe retell it Lion King with humans.
Okay, like I had
that kind of defeats the purpose. I don't know.
I had the idea a while back to make this movie like the Broadway musical.
Like with masks?
Like with masks
like
and that.
Like
No.
cats. It's humanoid cats, humanoid lions.
No.
It's with the CGI fur. Oh, I would love it. They would dance and sing.
No, with the costumes that they wore in the thing, just like set it out, like kind of be like tribal and stuff like that. I think that would have worked better, and you could have actual emotions and stuff like that. But I guess not. Oh, one of the best songs from the Broadway musical, "He Lives in You," was tacked on at the end, and it's even then it wouldn't add nothing. Even the new Elton song was so and so. I mean, with these movies, I'm at least hoping for good covers of these songs, and at least I'll have that. But this movie didn't even give me that. And not only that, it made The Lion King a laughing joke. They took The Lion King, they were very cynical towards it, and they completely thrashed that with their dollar printing machine, and it just felt uninspired. Every time I come out of the original one, I feel inspired. Like I was like revved up, after seeing it yesterday. And I just didn't come out of this movie inspired. I felt defeated,
Also, poor what's his name, who played
Simba?
No, Mufasa.
James Earl Jones.
He didn't do a good job, and I don't blame him.
Who do you blame? His old age?
Time.
And it's also just kind of a waste because like 90% of his lines were the same thing from the original film.
I should have just taken the original audio. I would have done it better.
You should have done that because there would have been more emotion in his voice.
And what's worse, you put Nala in danger. In this one, it's just like, and what's worse, you put Nala in danger. And it's just like.
He sounds so old.
But yet again, we go to like something like Rogue One, and it just was one scene. But like, I felt like that was fucking Vader. I didn't feel like this was fucking Mufasa.
I don't know what it is anymore. I just feel it's like nobody was really trying in this movie. Except maybe the VFX artists.
They did a great job.
Yeah.
What a waste of fucking talent and time and money.
Well, I mean, money in terms of quality, but it's gonna make its money back.
Yeah, it's gonna make its money back. But like
it's already made $96 million, guys.
Before we
I'm-
close, we should talk about the audience we saw this with and what they thought of this.
Oh, they were eating the shit up.
They
like,
love, and again, I think this goes back to the audience really just wants the same thing. Like, I could hear audience members mouthing the lines to the original
And sing the songs.
before they even happen, but they're
Yeah.
really giddy with excitement.
And that's
They-
more than just Kyle. Usually it's just Kyle that does that.
But they're really giddy with excitement because they know exactly what's coming, and it just seems like audiences want the same film, but and again, maybe I would be okay with that if it was like a better version of the same film. You know what I mean? But it's not.
like something to the vein of like Sword in the Stone or like the Black Cauldron. You release that, in the live action, setting. My God, the possibilities are endless with that. But you're making something that was already good, already great, and like not even like paying justice to that even.
Yeah, I'll say that the audience experience.
Francisco, the movie was fine. David.
No, it was terrible. No, I mean, another added component here is all of the extra quote-unquote jokes or humor was lazy, and it was bad. And the fact that a lot of people were kind of like, by the way, I want to make it clear, most of the audible reactions, it seemed like to me, was a lot of the quote-unquote new, stretched-out stuff they put in terms of, like, the funny stuff that was in there, maybe a little bit of the old stuff. But I can honestly say that this is one of the first experiences where the audience experience kind of worsened my view of the movie.
It was so weird because they would like gasp, go, and it was the exact same people.
They were gasping?
Yeah, and going like, oh my God, this, and that. And it's like, it was the exact same people who were mouthing the lines before they even said them. So they knew exactly what was coming. So it's like, why are you doing this?
Was it
why are you acting as if this is the
obnoxious?
first time you've ever seen the film?
I'm just
you
like, why
know
are you
what's
laughing?
happening.
I mean, why are you... It made me kind of angry. Why are you having a good time? This is terrible.
How dare you have a good time?
This is terrible. It's awful. It's like, God, this is what we're supposed to be getting from movies in the next 10 years? No sense.
Lion King. Final thoughts, guys.
Uh,
I'm ready for bed.
It wasn't good.
It was...
All right, guys, do yourselves a favor. Go see the 1994 film. You'll have a much better time at that.
Why? I'm just like, I'm
Go-
asking myself, why? Why? Why?
Anyway, guys, you could check out all that stuff. You could check out Lion King. So, I don't even feel like doing Lion King stuff anymore for the Fantasy Fair. I don't know. I'll figure it out. Ladies and gentlemen, check out his bullshit. Check out my bullshit. Whatever. Ladies and gentlemen, this is After Dark. Bye.